So we're going to talk about the use of ChatGPT in order to gain weight. So I talked about a while ago how we can use ChatGPT if we're trying to decrease our body weight. Yes, predominantly when I talk about decreasing body weight, I mean body fat. So we talked about creating a deficit in the calories and using something like ChatGPT in order to sort of track what's going on, make sure every day we're sort of hitting that number and then maybe increasing the cardio. Now, I have had a few people say, what about the opposite? So how do I increase the muscle? Well, the first thing I'd say is you want to start from a body fat level that you're happy with. So let's say you're currently a certain weight and you're carrying a certain degree of body fat and you're not happy with that body fat. Well, the first thing I'd say is go back to my older video, which I'll give a link to, which talks about decreasing the body fat, because you want to kind of start at a good point. So you want to start where your body fat levels are at a point that you're pretty happy with, because when you do increase your muscle mass, even if you're really on it, you may sometimes just pull a little bit of fat along with it, and it's just kind of a normal process, but you don't want it to be sort of visually very noticeable. And then you can always sort of do sort of 3 weeks or so at the end of that kind of weight increase phase just to tighten things up if you feel like visually you need it. So let's say you've hit a body fat level you're happy with, but you want to increase your muscle. Now, I mean, it could be a targeted approach. It could be an overall approach. So let's say with me at the moment, I went through a phase about probably 4 months ago where I pulled my body fat down to where I was really happy with it. And I did a little video about that. And then I moved gears because I'm nearly 46, where I wanted to increase my muscle. I said it's easier in my mid-40s to increase my muscle than it will be in my mid-50s or my mid-60s. Now, this isn't to say that you won't be able to increase your muscles in your mid-50s and 60s and 70s, but generally, hormonally, it's a little easier to do when you're a bit younger. So there's a few things you kind of want to look at with this. So the first part is we need some type of resistance training, and we need it to be reasonably strong. So I do 3 sessions a week, and I do a leg session, a back and shoulders session, and an arms and chest session. And that works really well for me. The actual training the body part once a week really hard, I find in my mid-40s that I need more recovery, and it's allowed me to have less joint issues than I had when I would train a body part twice a week. Now, this is personal preference. Another good routine to use with this would be a sort of like a 4-day split, 2 upper body sessions, 2 lower body sessions a week, 1 upper, 1 lower, day off, 1 upper, 1 lower, and a couple of days off, start again. So you could use this. You want to focus on the compounds, which is all pretty down the line, so if your back's not great, single leg press, hack squat, leg extension, leg curl, calf raise on a leg press machine, lat raise, shoulder press, maybe lat raise if the shoulders aren't great overhead, strong rows, good pull downs, chest work can be dips, flies if the chest doesn't like the bench. I generally do 2 warm-up sets and then 2 to 3 work sets with my legs about 15 reps and my upper body more kind of like 12, I suppose. That works for me. Now, it's more, don't get too caught up with that. As long as you're training hard, you're remaining injury-free, and every week you might add a couple of reps, maybe 10 in the first week, 11 in the second week, 12 in the third week. That's kind of just the approach. Once you get to maybe 12 or 15 reps, you could put the weight up 5 to a maximum of 10%. I do 5 weeks on, 1 week recovery, no weight training, and then I repeat the cycle. In the 5 weeks on, I increase my calories, yeah? And this is really what calories are necessary for you to see the muscle mass increase. So when I first started this, I was on 2,500 calories and I went up to 3. And I trained for a cycle and didn't notice much difference. So then I went up to 3,500 and I noticed more muscle coming without body fat. And now I'm at about 3,700. And again, I'm noticing the muscle still coming. So you've kind of got to just watch the scales, look in the mirror. I like to do a measurement of my waist, and I might do that every week so that I know if my waist is staying about the same, pretty confident what's coming along is muscle. I do check-in photos every 6 weeks. So I do 5 weeks on, and in the 6th week, I do visual photos, video, measurements. And then you kind of really know what's going on. You're not sort of thinking you know. As far as the calories go, you take ChatGPT like you did before with decreasing body fat, and you're just eating really clean. I mean, I do err on the side of more protein because I'm in my 40s. So I'm probably up around that 200 grams per day mark, which is a mix of protein powder, meats, eggs, and then, just protein-rich carbohydrate type foods as well. And then my carbs are probably up around 300 grams a day, and my fat is between, say, 60 to 80 grams a day, so a little bit lower fat. This seems to work really well for me to get my body to gain muscle. So also, when you train, you need to make sure that you have some calories on board before, like a banana. As soon as you walk out of the gym, you consume something like 50 grams of protein and 100 grams of carbohydrate, which sounds like a lot, but this is your window to really sort of kick things along quite rapidly. Sleeping, big one. Make sure you get enough sleep. Try and not have too much going on in your life at the time that you're focusing on this, because you really want to be able to give a lot of energy to this and have enough time for the recovery. You want to train as hard as you can, but what you can recover from. So that varies, and this is where you have to play around a little with it. So I do little check-ins during the day on ChatGPT, maybe like 3 times a day. I'll plug in what I've eaten. It'll tell me I'm at 1,200 calories, and I'll go, okay, cool. I'm going to take that. I know that I'm going to have to hit about 2,500, 3,000 by 5 o'clock, and dinner's going to be 700, pushing me to 3,700 of about 6 meals a day. So it's up to you what you eat, but it wants to be good quality food. So we talk about dirty bulking and clean bulking. The cleaner the food, the more likely muscle comes along for the ride. So my diet is actually just as clean as when I'm trying to drop fat, but I'm just eating more. And that's kind of like the difference. It's really just a matter of volume changing, but I'm still as disciplined with it. And this is if you're serious about seeing some pretty major results. The other one is supplementation. So I don't take TRT. Some males in their mid-40s do, so testosterone replacement therapy. This is like a personal choice. It's more something I might think about in my 50s and my 60s if I think it's necessary, but I want to kind of exploit my existing levels of testosterone the best I can. So how I do that is getting enough sleep. I eat 6 eggs a day because the cholesterol has a really good relationship to testosterone. I have a pretty high protein. I have a lot of trace elements, so boron, which is not really in much food these days due to its depletion of soil, releases more free testosterone into the body. So you have your testosterone levels, but the free testosterone is what you can actually use. So this is kind of where you want to focus. So I take boron, also trace stuff like iodine, magnesium, I use fish oil, I use creatine, I use glutamine, I take about 6,000 IU of vitamin D, which again, there's a clear relationship between vitamin D intake and testosterone levels, vitamin E and zinc. So what I do is I'm stacking a whole lot of things together. So maybe I could take TRT and I could see a 10% improvement in my muscle mass with the training. Or I can stack a whole lot of 1%ers, boron, iodine, magnesium, vitamin D, really good training, killer diet, enough sleep, controlling stress levels because the cortisol will decrease how effective your training is, and it will keep you taking longer to recover. So if you think about it in the stacking, you can actually see some really amazing improvements. So I mean, I was quite surprised. I mean, I've been training with gym stuff for quite a while, a lot of calisthenic, more orientated, but have lifted with gym weights before. And I just wanted to see what I could do sort of in my mid-40s as a trainer. Sometimes as a trainer, we get a little bit lax. We're kind of like, I'm all good. I just wanted to see, all right, what can I learn about myself that I can hand on to clients? So if I sort of were to just summarize the whole thing, it's really good diet with decent protein. It's regular meals. It's check-ins to make sure you hit the exact calorie numbers. It's 3 to 4 gym sessions a week, depending on the split. It's training hard, not necessarily to failure, but you have to be able to recover. Muscle soreness will be very normal with this kind of training. I will regularly have muscle soreness. Sleeping, not having too much going on in your life. If you sort of stack this together, 5 weeks on, 1 week off, and just do a few cycles of it, maybe commit yourself to 3 cycles and then reassess where you're at. Maybe there's a little bit of body fat that's come along for the ride. All right, I'm going to do 5 weeks of pulling my calories down by about 500 to 700 with a little bit more low intensity cardio. I'll let the weight training drop a little, still train, but not that same intensity. And then I'll sharpen it up again and then reassess.